thinking about rising to the top of your mountain, considering the metamorphosis of your mind, pause, think about it with intentional thought, and consider where we go from here. Stay tuned and hear what Antoinette Russell's got to say about overcoming the challenges we encounter. Join our co-sponsors, Dom Dev Enterprises and Page Investments, and our friends at Something to Think About. Ask your questions, post your concerns, and be sure to share, and tell everybody that we are live in living color here on this blessed Tuesday afternoon. We'll be right back.
Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles.
Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. And what we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative 242. So this evening, we have our blessed friend from long time on viable, what should I say, beautiful and sprightly young mind, young. Don't mind the glasses and the hair and stuff like that. You know, that's how we go. We roll like that, you know. Bright minds is, you know, we go trim down and stuff. But we have Antoinette Russell with us today, and she is a financial maverick, I call it. You know, moving through the maze of that industry and achieving her goals along the way. And now she's on her own journey with her own company, paving the way for greater things. Welcome, Antoinette.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, awesome. Not a Soldier Road lady, you know? You got the Soldier Road boys, but that's one of the Soldier Road ladies from the Soldier Road boys. Yes. So, Antoinette, you would have had a long journey in the financial sector. And just help some of our young people understand, when you started, what was the financial sector like for a young person, and particularly a young lady, trying to break into the barriers?
Well, I guess I have to go back in a little history here. When I graduated from SAC, St. Augustine's College, I was 15 years old. And so at that time, I couldn't enter COB at the time because the age was 17. So I started working with my dad in his business downtown. And I was the messenger, the girl Friday. And what was so interesting is that and she said, go to school and do shorthand. She says, because secretaries are well-paying jobs. No, why not? So I did that. But that there created a gold mine for me, because I then applied for a job with an offshore bank.
Right.
And I ended up working in my career for 3 offshore banks for the managing directors as their personal assistants. So that's how I got my exposure to the financial services sector. So that was very interesting, because working with the managing director, you're able to see, hear, and feel everything. You got an understanding of what was needed, that had to be done, how to service clients, what the expectation was. So that's where I started. So I started really early, and then I moved along, and 25 to 30 years later, I was able to secure a position as a managing director, as you know, up until the time I retired in 2020.
Yes, retired. You see that, people? You can retire early, you know. You know, she was 15 when she started, and now she's 25, and so she's retired, and now on her own journey, on her own endeavors, and so forth. So, Antonio, welcome. Saw you posted up just now. I guess that's one of your cousins. That's my old boss.
One of my cousins, one of my good cousins.
Yeah.
One of my support.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Antoinette, you know, I like to follow the man's word up from upstairs, right? And one of the things is, one of my favorite scriptures is Romans 12:2, which speaks to do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may discern what is the will and of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And so we're talking about transformation now, because to go from out of high school to being an assistant all the way up to the chief, directing all of the traffic in our mighty financial sector, one of the and actually it's not a, I don't know if you could call it a name, but it's not a small firm either, where you were holding some clout. You know, if everybody could do that, well, everybody can do that, but I guess we don't do it because there's some reasons why we don't do it, and we wanna touch into some of those reasons or some of those things that we need to do in order for people to be successful, to help particularly our youth understand that, okay, you might have talent, but there's some other things, some soft things that needs to be done in there.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
so tell us a little bit about that. What promoted you, or what inspired you to want to get to the top?
Well, I think you have to decide what are your goals? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And once you set your goals, you have to determine how you're going to achieve those goals. Because being a managing director doesn't mean running straight out of school, straight to the top.
Right.
And most importantly, you have to know that you cannot do it alone. So that would mean building relationships, creating a network, deciding exactly how you're going to get there. I'm so happy. If I want to be the managing director, I knew what they did, how
But
they.
that was your goal initially,
Well,
from day
actually,
one?
yeah, well, actually, not really. Only as I learned more about the business,
Right.
I just said, this is something I want to do. I need to learn more about this. And so I did accounting, I did
Right.
bookkeeping, I did 2 years of law. And then I said, I can't be a lawyer. That's not for me. Because I worked in the firm with Sean McQueenie for a year and a half. And
Right.
so I got my taste of a little bit of the legal background. And I said, I can't do it. It's not for me. And then I decided, well, let me just try and just learn as much as I can about the corporate world. And then an opportunity presented itself for me in 1989. A big international law firm came to the Bahamas, and Mr. Lennox Payton from Lennox Payton and Co. Mr. Payton set me up for the interview, and he says, now, if you don't hire Tony, he called me Tony at the time, if you don't hire Tony, I'm going to hire her. They gave me a key to 4 walls, and I built a team of 14.
Right.
And I worked there for about 11 years. And when I left 11 years later, I left them with 12,000 companies and administration in the Bahamas at the time. So I learned, and they gave me the opportunity to travel the world, see what business
More
was like in
exposure.
Panama, BVI. So I had a lot of exposure. So and so I think I showed them I was dedicated, I was committed, and I was ambitious. You see, people need to see that you really want it. You have to really want it. You can't just sit there and say, I'm gonna be the managing director. You have to work hard. You have to work in the trenches. You have to show them that you mean business. So you have to be committed, consistent, and intentional. We talk about this word. Intentional is so important. And with that, people will invest in you.
Right. And that's big. People invest in you. So, but many people, they like to see people who are successful, and then they just want to copy them. They want to be what they have, and they don't necessarily want to do the work, or they may not necessarily know what is the work required to do that, right? And so,
No.
go ahead.
You have to be committed. You really have to be committed. And no one is perfect, right? And we can be indecisive at times, and we procrastinate, and we have these great career choices we want to do, but sometimes we can also be influenced by society, our parents, and peer pressure, because Happy is a trust manager. I want to be a trust manager too, but he didn't know how Happy got to become a trust manager.
Right.
So And so you really have to look within yourself and decide what is it that you really want and who do you want to be and how are you going to get there and who will you journey with to get to that point,
Right,
because you do
right.
need someone to journey with you.
Yeah. Okay. And so those things are important because I mean the good Lord put us on this earth for relationships and to build each other up as we go, and so that falls right in line with that. So when we look at those things, though, everybody don't get to the top, and so there has to be some obstacles why people don't get to the top. Whether it's our self determination, our self will, or there's some obstacles external to our individual's self that we have to put up. What are some of the obstacles that you would have crossed along your journey?
Well, okay, so there are a couple of things. You would find that sometimes people may feel threatened from you because you're a go-getter and you're the one who's going to raise your hand up all the time. Even if you don't know how to do the project, you say, I'll learn how to do it. And you then say, I have to adapt. And you have to be able to adapt. Adaptability is key. Let me give you an example. You remember in 2000, we did a whole slate of new legislation, and so everybody had to become compliant. There's certain things.
Right.
So compliance became a big thing at that time.
Yeah, compliance
What I
officers and all.
compliance officers, that is just, I mean, and the regulatory platform keeps evolving. So at that time, I was just a head of trust in my institution. And I had just had my son, he was about 4 months old. And I said, you know what, I want to become a certified compliance officer because I could see at the end of the day what the future would look like in that space.
Right.
So I did that course. And my boss at the time, he said, I applaud you. He said, because that is really a great move. But I guess I had the vision from working in the industry so long to see that down the road, this is going to be a very important aspect of the service that we offer as an institution. So some of the challenges would be adaptability, knowing when you need to shift, knowing when to ask for help, knowing whether you're in the right job, knowing when you need to upskill, because that's important too. You can't stay in the same zone and expect to move forward in your job or be considered for promotion. You have to demonstrate that you want to move on by showing that you're flexible.
So you just mentioned a number of things which is very powerful because you said you have to identify, and basically it boils down to discernment. So when did you identify that you needed to be able to identify these things? Because, a lot of us, we're moving along and we think we have our degree. If we have our degree, or we know a couple of people and we see other people on jobs slunking when we working hard and we figure we should be on the top and they're not on the top and they're moving, we're not moving. So I imagine in your journey, you would have moved slowly at a certain point and then you identify some things and then all of a sudden now it seemed like you went exponentially. At least that's how it seemed to me. Every year it looked like you was going to another level.
Okay, so while education is important, over time, reputation outweighs academic qualifications. I'm
say
sorry.
That again, please. Could you say that again, please?
While education is important, over time, your reputation outweighs your academic credentials because you have to network. You have to build a nest egg of I call them cheerleaders and people who will be in your corner. And you need to be a cheerleader to somebody else too, because just how we want people to cheerlead for us, we have to cheerlead for others. And so having a degree doesn't mean anything. You have to build your reputation so that people could say, oh, that's Happy Knowles. Oh, I know Happy. Or hey, that's Antoinette. Your reputation should precede you.
Awesome. Well, that's a big thing, right? Because I mean, sometimes we have this training in the Bahamas where people say, "Don't worry about what other people think about you. Just worry about what you think about yourself." But there's a balance, right?
Between credibility is important and integrity.
And so before before you got this vision, or I don't want to call it an epiphany, but to say that you needed to do these type of things, what was your experience for success? How were you along your way? What was your exposure or your experience?
My experience was good. Now I did have a boss who made me cry every day in a job because
Cry?
it was a cry, yes.
Okay.
So I don't want you to think it was always easy,
Right.
because sometimes too, when people for whatever reason want to be in control, you find that they can be difficult at times. And so I had to really build a strong back, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to get strong and be able to manage that. But I did have my days when I felt like I couldn't go another day in a particular job. But I held
Mm-hmm.
on to it. I had to find a mentor. I had to find people to talk to walk me through. And they said, this is a part of life and this is what happens on the job. And of course, being a woman, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I had to say it, they don't expect for us to be
To
able
succeed there. Mm-hmm.
to survive that. So I think all that helped me to be the strong person that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm always conscious of that with other people. And I think one of the things that sometimes our managers do, and even leaders, if someone is going in the wrong direction, sometimes you need to find out why,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
help them. Perhaps they need some professional coaching, executive coaching, or maybe some type of supervisory guidance. And
Mm-hmm.
all of us make mistakes. We're not perfect. And
Right.
we were not always the great managers that we are now. We made some bad moves along the way. All of us do. And I would say the same thing happened to me. I may
Mm-hmm.
have made some decisions I'm not happy about. But I learned from all of that. And it all made me a better person, because we you want to build a good reputation. And so you always try to, in my role, I always embrace my whole team. I said, you are a part of me. I'm only as good as I can be because of you. So
Right.
I welcome your feedback. I try to be as open as I can. If there's something wrong, I say, listen, this is not correct. We need to fix this. So how can I help you to correct this?
Mm-hmm.
Not pointing a finger or saying you're wrong, you shouldn't have done this. No. And even if it's something I need to speak one to one, if something
Right.
happened in the team meeting, I pull them aside. So in a lot of ways, as we navigate on these leadership roles, we have to remember that we too were once behind reporting to someone else, and we
Mm-hmm.
want people to respect us, so we have to respect them in
Right.
everything we do. So that. And so they were some of the challenges I may have had, but I overcame them, and I
Mm-hmm.
made it my point to make sure that in my trajectory and in my role as a leader, I pull people along and help them develop themselves to become, solid managers, or eventually even a managing director like me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know, there's some serious stuff there because my next question was going to be how did you deal with the frustration? But I think the Shani Butler has a better way of putting it. She says, wow, what was your mental state having to deal with a manager like that every day? You know?
It was difficult, but I managed. My husband at the time, I would call and say, I don't know if I could do it. He said, you need to do it. You're
Mm-hmm.
there. You need to stand tall and stand strong. And so eventually I found a way to deal with it. And,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever there was a flare up, I'd go into the office closest. I said, look, we have to work together as a team. What is it that we can do together to make this a more uh, pleasant working relationship? And eventually it worked out,
Right, right.
because I didn't go in an emotional state. I just went in as a matter of fact, look, we have to work together. The success of the company depends on us being a united front.
Right,
I'm not here to take your job. I'm here to support you. I just need you to support me, because if you don't support me, my team won't support me.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But addition to that though, I mean, there are people out there who might not be from Soldier Road and be as strong as you, who have to build up to themselves. I mean, we're all born and God created us all unique to with our own skills and talents and stuff like that that we have to unveil for ourselves. And so we have to get to those points along our journey, and no two journeys are the same. But
Right.
you would have had at least the church family, intimate family members, and some close friends to help support you in terms of dealing with this type of issue, and so forth. Is how important is that for young people to
Our
build a
relationship,
network like that to support to help them along the way?
Happy, one of the things I would always say and encourage. Yes, you have your church, your family, but get involved in a Rotary, a Kiwanis, these
Okay.
service organizations that exposes you to different levels of people, because most of these organizations are about service.
Right.
So it exposes you to a different level of people. And also too, if you're in a particular career path, right? And you want, let's say you want to become a trust officer or an accountant, call a KPMG, call a EY and say, listen, my name is Antoinette Russell. I would like to become an accountant, but I'd like to talk to someone or a few people who can tell me how did they
Right.
get there? And tell me not just the good, tell me the bad, because I want to know what I should expect.
Okay.
And in some ways, they would probably end up getting a mentor through that whole process and talking to everybody's experience is different. So if you talk to someone from KPMG, they may have a different story. You talk to someone from EY or Pricewaterhouse, they may have a different story. So you just need to make sure that you surround yourself and get as much knowledge. Talk to as many people as you can, because everybody has a story. So it's just a way of really exposing yourself and being open
Right.
to hearing how people have made it. You'd be surprised. Some of them they don't even start off wanting to be an accountant, but for some reason that was their trajectory.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, we know a number of people look in the mirror who start out doing one thing and change and come back and this and that. Anyway, that's a different story. So Stubbs is saying here, how important is it to take personal inventory on what you allow to influence your thinking and confidence in such a position, more over being a female? I don't Stubbs, you in my notes say because that's kind of where I was going. But anyway.
So how important? It's
How
very
important is it?
important to take a personal inventory, because you don't want to act like a male, if you understand what I'm saying, because sometimes they say you go up against these other colleagues or counterparties in this male mode. No, I think you have to be confident. You have to be able to show that you are strong. You have to be able to of course, your reputation has to be very stellar, and integrity is important, and you have to demonstrate fairness.
Right.
Fairness, and people will respect you if you do that, and you don't have to work so hard. And I never felt like anybody could influence my way of thinking. I just was fair, honest, and intentional in what I did.
So based on what you just said now, it sounds then that your experience is that first of all, particularly in the financial industry, most it's dominated by males.
Right.
That's the same member. So your experience is that most of the men, if you come across being alpha male-ish like them, then they reject that big time. But if you become strong, feminine team player type scenario, not compromising integrity and all that kind of stuff, that I never would agree to that. But are you saying that young people should take on that mantra or consider that at least?
Let me tell you that I'm going to backtrack. The financial services industry is predominantly women.
It's women now?
Yes.
No, I
Women.
mean at the top. I don't mean who's doing all the work. Yeah.
Oh, okay, at the top.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
yeah,
I meant the
more
top,
men.
not who doing the work. Yeah.
Well, I think, see, for young people, they have to know that they have to earn their stripes, right? And when I say earn their stripes, they need to make sure that when they want to compete, that they're upskilling themselves, to be able to compete, because people will only respect you if you can meet them at their level. I mean, I'm sorry to say it like that, but you have to be able to meet them at their level. So you have to upskill. You have to really, I mean, get involved, go to all the conferences, introduce yourself. I'm so and so. I may be a junior person now, but I may also be a senior person in 2 years.
Right.
But you need to network, build relationships, let people know who you are. Don't go into
Right.
don't go to a conference and sit in the corner with your friend. Go and introduce yourself to people. Yeah, this is who I am. What do you do?
Right.
How long were you at this job? I aspire to be in that position one day. Tell me what I should do. What are the key takeaways for me? So you really have to be intentional about what you want. And you have to be out there. You have to build relationships. You have to network. I mean, Happy, I can't tell you how important this networking is.
Yeah. And so with that, because Zig Ziglar, you always said that success happens when preparation meets opportunity, right? And so
That's true.
what you were talking about now is preparing yourself so that you could be able to function and succeed at the
Yes,
levels above where you want to go. And so
exactly.
we do that by either, I don't know, for me, it was people used to tell me to read books because they know I never used to read them. At least I read them like a textbook. I didn't read them from cover to cover. I found chapters that I liked, so I might have about 6 books I was reading at the same time, but I never finished one, and so forth. So, what are some of the sources that you use to gain this knowledge? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a book right now that I'm reading that I feel every young person should read. Is called Unapologetically Ambitious. Okay, and that book speaks to you being breaking the bias, taking risk, and what you need to do, how you need to plan and set your goals to achieve what you want.
Right.
Okay, and so I read those type of books on leadership. I read on how I could develop myself, and that's what I do. And so that's the one I'm reading, and I'm also reading one on leadership, how to be a good leader. Even though I'm not in that space anymore, but I think as an example to others, I have
No,
to keep on top of the game.
I wouldn't say you're not in that space anymore because I mean your company just maybe an embryonic stage, but in a year or 2 years, boom, you will
Yes.
be like cryptocurrency, and large and in charge.
Well, look, now that we're talking about cryptocurrency, I would tell the young people at this particular point, read up, go on YouTube, understand what cryptocurrency is, Bitcoin, understand it, because that is where you see in the space a lot of opportunities will arise. But you need to understand, do 101, read up. Go get in
Right.
touch with someone at FTX and say, tell me what cryptocurrency is. Tell me how can I learn? Can I do an internship? It can be free. I just want to understand what is FTX. So when you think about that, that's a great example. You need to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. I'm still trying to learn about cryptocurrency. My son is always trying to give me a 101 when we have our video calls at night. So you have to be intentional. And I keep using the word intentional because I want people to let that stick in their mind. Go
Right.
behind what you want. You see, so I don't know. I see Mr. Rowell asking why the
Yeah.
financial
Right.
institution. I can't even answer that because I know in the position where I was, we had no expats in my. It was a fully Bahamian team.
Okay.
Now I can't speak now. They may have a speciality they want, especially in the banking side, but I really can't speak to that.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Fair enough. Right. Okay. And so if we look at the preparation a little more, then today people have YouTube. I mean, that's my university, right?
Yeah.
I figured that YouTube is better than paying 40,000, 50,000 plus
Yes.
a
Yes.
year to go get a degree for somebody to tell me that they don't care that I have the degree, right?
Yep.
Because that's the other thing. At least that was my attitude. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also the executive development programs,
Yes.
certification, something
Yes.
that you subscribe to big. I mean, even to
Yes.
the point where you still being certified.
Yes, I am
You still
actually.
seeking certifications. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
How big is
Certifications.
that to success? Yeah.
Yes, that certifications are big to success because, for instance, right, a compliance program is probably like 18 months and you are qualified. That's an international recognition certification. So that's important. You have the STEP certification. You become a trust officer. And those courses are excellent. and you have your CPD hours to keep you abreast of all of the ongoing nuances and changes in the industry. You have ACAMS, which is another compliance certification. Then, of course, I just did a corporate governance certification last year. I did that. I'm doing something else now. So you have to keep abreast. You have to look at the landscape and see what's trending. And in the space now, you see regulatory is big, corporate governance is big, compliance is big. That's the space. And then even now with the cryptocurrency, they have to find a way to monitor that. So there's probably going to be some form of legislation coming out to govern how the AML aspect of that should be handled. So you probably have to get some training. And so the current compliance officers will probably have to upskill in that area. So there are a lot of opportunities for certification. So not necessarily a degree. As such. So once you have upskilled, you are able to, people will consider you for employment.
Right. So and then there's also the conferences that we all familiar with.
Oh,
and stuff
yes,
like that.
absolutely. I think they have a lot of webinars. You know, the Securities Commission put on webinars often. You know, STEP has their luncheons and lunch and learns. ACAMS have luncheons, and there are a lot of things. And even sometimes internationally, you may get some pop-ups on your email to attend a webinar, seminar. Take advantage of all these opportunities. All these help you to conform and be ready for when that opportunity presents itself to you.
Okay. And so before we go to the break, to ask this one question: how does a young person go about selecting a mentor? Because you mentioned that is huge in terms of because you need teamwork, you need help and cheerleaders and what have you. Right?
I think depending on what their career path, what they want to do, they can, and it doesn't have to be, because you're a male, it doesn't have to be a male. It can be a female, so you can choose and find someone who you sit with them, you reach out to them. I mean, someone reached out to me the other day to say, listen, I've been following you on LinkedIn and I like what I see. And I think you make a great mentor for me because I'm trying to decide who I want to be. And so I think you'll be able within yourself to determine if this person will be the right fit for you. And some people have more than one mentor. So it may be a mentor for a certain thing. And so, you know, don't be stuck with one, but most times people have that one or maybe maximum two persons. So it depends on what you're looking for. So because the young people, the people who have reached out to me have been people in financial services or who are aspiring to take on leadership roles. They come and they want to talk to me about how did I do it? What would I recommend? What would be good sources of reading for them? And just real life examples of what happened to me during my time. In leadership. And really, I'm happy the stories help a lot.
I could imagine, because I mean, I have a number of mentors. Some are only not full time, but some you just go for certain types of
depending on what you
and
want.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
Right, and so you keep going like that. Awesome. Well, folks, you've been listening, watching Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles, and we're here discussing with Antoinette Russell, empowering the metamorphosis of our minds so that we can achieve what we want to achieve in life, particularly so we could become our God-given, fulfill our God-given purpose. And we know that we'll be successful when we're doing that. So we'll be right back, Madam Producer.
Sammy's Chicken. There's nothing like it.
Behind every scoop, flick, and savor is a smile and memory being made or reminisced. Whether you're at work, out with family on a Sunday, or have friends visiting, flavor will meet expectations in our 32-ounce container for only $10. If you're having a special event as well, exotic flavors ranging from soursop to Guinness, it's definitely worthwhile.
Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. We're here this evening talking with Antoinette Russell about empowering the metamorphosis of our mind so that we could become as successful as we have the potential to be and achieve our goals and aspirations along the way so we can live happy lives and free from stress as much as we can. Welcome back, Antoinette.
Hi.
Great. Now, I let you be a little bit modest in the first half of the show, but really and truly now, you need to tell these people what you really accomplished, right? The other day you had an interview and you want to highlight what was the most significant point that the foreign interviewers wanted to gain from you, from that interview. No, you don't want to say it. Anyway, leave it alone. But okay, so tell us then. How did you know how much to invest in yourself?
Okay, so I looked at my landscape as I came up in my career path, and I always knew when it was time to move on to the next stage of my career. So what I did,
intuition, or because of your discussions with people, you were able to identify that?
well, I think because of work and also looking at how I wanted to really move on and move up the ladder, I had to do certain things to get to the next stage of my career. So, like I said, I became a Society of Trust and Estate Practitioner. I got the certification in 1996. That's when I first started. So that's how long I had that. And then in 1998, I did my MBA. And then in 2003, I got my compliance certification. So I kept doing all the things I needed to position myself to take on a leadership role. And what happened? Oh, I have to share with you. People are sometimes xenophobic about expats, right? But I always say this openly, and I did this on LinkedIn. There are a few people in my life when I worked with them, my last job, that really pushed me forward in the position where I was at the time when I left. And that was one of the international CEOs. And he said to me, you can do this. And he made me the first woman to hold that position in Credit Suisse Trust at the time. And that was a big thing. That was a big deal. But he made sure that I had all the tools to help me to be successful. So he believed in me, and that was very heartwarming to me, because working for a Swiss bank, you'd figure, well, they probably don't want to see a woman in that position, but they were full-fledged behind me 200%. And so that was really impressive, and that really made me really want to push hard and also represent women and the Bahamas, in that role. And so that was, and they were very supportive. So Yes, there are people who feel, maybe expats, some of them have this xenophobic idea about expats, but I
Right.
could tell you that I may have my challenges, yes, but
Yeah.
it's working in the space. But for them, if not for him, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity. And
Right.
I thanked him openly with that.
Right. And so, see, folks, like I just said to y'all, she's being very modest, right? And so you see there, I mean, being Credit Suisse is not a small company, and to be at the top, uh, that's
Thank you.
saying
Yes,
something.
so it was
Yeah.
really, and I got great support, and so I wrote a piece on the first woman in the room, being the woman at that level, and dealing at an international level, and so for me, my whole management team at the time, up to the time I left Credit Suisse, were women, all women, and we worked together, and we were really all the women in the room. We worked together as a team. So there's room for us to work together and be successful. And it's just a mindset. It's not about competition. It's about being successful and creating a united front. Because we
But
can't
that,
let the people on the other side of the world see us not working together.
right. So that had to be, had to materialize like that, all women, in terms of, because of team building skills and holding, like Steph Curry holds everybody. Everybody gets the opportunity. The ball passes around, 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 around.
Oh,
Nobody
yes.
is the lead chief and all that kind of stuff. Even though you have people who are in positions of leadership, but I see you operating in that light
Yes.
when you operate otherwise. So people should understand that that's a key for
Yes.
building teamwork and success.
And also succession, I'm happy because
Yeah.
at some point, I'm going to move on, which has happened in my case. And the person who was the number two is now the number one. So that's the way it's supposed to be. You should never, you can't sit in that position forever. And you always have to make sure that you're laughing. You have
I
to
gotta
make
laugh, man. The amount of stories I know. Anyway, sorry. Some people think
sure.
that's for them. They can live on earth for life, but
Yeah, no,
for
no,
Earth's life, that is. Yeah.
no, no.
So Ivan Ball says that knowledge is power, but enthusiasm pulls the switch. So we're talking about applied knowledge, and what you was talking about here today is basically all applied knowledge. The knowledge that you gain along the way, and being able to adapt it to, and you didn't say it so far, but to advance your roadmap. You painted a roadmap. Once you got in the industry, you saw what the directors were doing, what the industries were, what part of the industry you wanted to focus in and learn from them, and you drew a roadmap as to how you can get to the top with certifications, this, that, and the other, and so forth. And so that enthusiasm to pull that switch, that power to be able to accomplish that, right? How do you know what specifically to focus on? How
Well,
does an individual know that?
okay, so let me kind of backpedal a bit. So remember,
Okay.
I was chairman of the Association of International Banks
Yeah.
here. I did that for about 3 years, and then that positioned me to speak with other professional colleagues from other banks. So that was a whole different level of relationships too,
Okay.
because we were competitors, but yet friends. So we
Right.
shared knowledge and information, and we worked well as a team. That was the majority of the members on that board were male, but I had the respect of them, and we worked together, and it was a great experience. And then I went to work with Tanya McCartney on the BFSB as her chairman for 4 years. And so with that, the BFSP is more like a marketing arm for the country. So we
Right.
met so many international clients, different people coming in. So all of this helped mold me to be ready and to really understand what my role needed to be. And I needed to
Right.
be open and transparent, and I had to be able to speak to my experience and to the Bahamas and to the fact that we have qualified people here and we have the talent. We do have the talent here. It's how we position ourselves to get those opportunities to be another Antoinette.
Right, right, right. And so on that same line, then mentorship, networking, building cheerleaders, all of that is vehicles for multiplying
Yes.
individual skills and talents. So
Yes.
how much do they multiply? So people would understand why they need to do these things.
It multiplies because, see, your mentor may, in talking to you, your mentor may see something you don't see in yourself. Maybe there's a spark that needs to be pulled up. Maybe you need encouragement or a push, or they could refer you or help you determine how to get to the next steps.
Right.
Sometimes we know, but we're afraid to make that step. And sometimes that mentor or that person who we entrust with all of our fears and doubts
Right.
is able to help us navigate. And I don't think anybody can make it without a mentor. At this point in my life, I do have mentors still, believe it or not, who I can call and speak to because I need it too. I'm a mentor to many, but I have my mentors too, just like you for certain things. I speak to people if I need advice on my children or from a financial advice or work-wise or business isn't coming fast enough. What do you think I need to do differently? So mentors, they're necessity. You cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone.
Right.
You cannot.
You just answered the second question I had, whether you could have done this without mentors and cheerleaders and stuff. And a cheerleader to me is somebody who they know your talents, they know your skills, and they're going to be out there
Rooting for
raising
you.
the pom-poms and stuff like that to help you get to the next level, whether it's opening a door for you and invite to somebody else you might not have an access to speak to somebody. It might be simple things like that. Right. And so you're saying that these things are absolutely necessary.
Yeah, they're necessity. And they're necessity. You need it. You cannot do it alone. You need it.
So you've been very successful. I mean, there's people we rushing through this because as we speak, Antoinette has people waiting for her to come back to board meetings and stuff. But we want you to understand that yes, it's a journey to get there, but it's a systematic journey. And once we could follow these things, we could go there. But the question is success permanent? Because a lot of times we think that we get to some place and then it's just going to be there forever. Is that permanent?
No. Success depends on the individual and their definition of success. In every stage of our career, the threshold of success will change according to our circumstances. You know that, right? Depending on our circumstances, success will change. So whether employed by someone or owning your own business, you must be capable, you must be dedicated, and you must be ambitious. So you will determine your success on those three key things. That's my, that's my thought.
And so when you say capable now, because when do we know that we have plateaued or we need to reinvent ourselves? Because when we say capable, if God put us everything in us when we were born that we need to be successful for His will and purpose, how do we know what else we need to do?
But if you're not motivated, or this is, you if you have no motivation and even though you're capable, you're not motivated, then maybe that's need to change what you not for you. Because not happy, you know how it is. Our parents want to be an engineer, a doctor, an accountant, and you was like, why do I want to do this? I don't really want to do this. And so you're not really motivated. And even though you may be capable, you're not motivated because that's not what you really want to do. So you have to ask yourself the question, is this what I really want to do?
Right.
So that's the thing, trying to identify the right career path for you. And that's why your mentor is so important, because just like you hit the nail on the head, maybe they can see in you what you don't see in yourself. And one of the things I also wanted to mention, and it's funny because me and my son were talking about it, he said to me, Mommy, he said, there are so many self-benchmarking tools that people can use now to identify their qualities and attributes, which can assist them in understanding who they are, where they want to go, and what they need to be. And it's good for personal growth. And it helps you understand your strengths and weaknesses. So maybe it may be an investment to do that for yourself, just to understand where
Right.
you are, because you'd be surprised at your personality and what you
Yes.
really want to do. You don't want to be no doctor or no accountant. Maybe you just want to go diving, or you want to
Yeah.
start your own business.
You know,
So
and somebody said to me, after listening to a Miles Monroe talk before, was that they said that when you are at peace or happy in that state, that means you are doing what he above wants you to be doing. And I found that to be very useful for me in determining whether I was going down the right path or not. Because if
right.
I was totally stressed out or the like, I realized that that was not where he really wanted me to be, because that's not in his teaching that we should be, right? So what does a day look like in the life of Antoinette Russell and why am I blocking on your company's name now?
Moran Global
Moran
Solutions.
Solutions, yes.
So I'll tell you what's been very interesting for me. I've been approached on a lot on leadership training and corporate governance. So I'm spending a lot of time preparing for that. And I'm finding that I'm liking it a lot, even though my service menu is very broad.
Right.
But I like building leaders and also pulling the best out of people. And so I think I may end up maybe moving more in that direction, it seems. But my day is getting up maybe about 6 o'clock and looking at the emails and trying to see who wants to reach out to me. And then I sit at the desk most of the day. And, I'm involved in several boards. But I want to help people to be the best that they can be. And that's through coaching and mentoring and offering support in leadership development and
Right.
individual growth for people. So I think that's my calling. I do it anyway,
Right.
but I want to really fine tune that. So that's where I've been focusing a lot these days and
Yeah.
spending a lot of time with myself.
Yes. And so then how does one go about maximizing, imparting the wealth of knowledge in your head into the youth out there? Is it just they coming and grabbing a hold of you and say, Antoinette, what do you think about this? Or you need to go through
Yeah.
some structured system? Yeah.
Well,
You always on the move. I don't know how they can catch up with
I
you, to tell you the truth.
know. I mean, everybody just keep pulling me left, right, and center. I don't know, I think if you've been following me on LinkedIn, you've seen that I've been really going out there doing small, short articles and blogs on different topics of interest. And I think one of the things which was there and near to my heart when they had International Women's Day with Break the Bias. I mean, that was so poignant to me because there is a bias.
Right.
There are not many women in leadership, and there are not many women in the boardroom. So I thought it would be good to do a series on women in the boardroom. But through that, people have reached out to me, sidebar me, and say, "Listen, I'd like you to do some mentoring for me." And I've been contacted on leadership development and helping do a couple offsites for people. So I think I'm going to focus more on that, but I just wanted to bring it to the forefront so people can see that we do have talent, we do have a lot to offer as women, and I think we just need to support each other more, and we also have to pull another woman in the room, and that's what I'm saying. If you're the only woman in the room, bring one or two other women with you so we can be successful and work together as a team. And I think that a lot of big companies and even Fortune 500 companies are now open to that. It's not as biased anymore, but even though one or two of us may be there, we need more. And I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more women on the boards here in the Bahamas. I think we do have some, but not sufficient. And we just have to be prepared, and so we have to prepare ourselves so we can compete at that level and be considered for those positions.
Well,
So
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So as we say, one of the biggest things on the show here is that the whole purpose of the show is really to help put content out there to help the youth know who we are, what we is, or as Loftus Walker would say, who he is, and how we could be able to achieve ourselves, develop ourselves to the point where we could succeed and moving forward. And so helping youth understand how to be interested in learning this type of information to develop themselves. My aunt used to do an etiquette course. So I'm thinking that there should be a financial industries etiquette course. I don't know if there is or is not, right? Things like that. Opportunities should be around for those type of things. How do we help them understand that the power of expanding the mind plays on their success?
Well, okay, when you talk about the etiquette course, when
Yeah.
the Association of Banks, we had a boot camp that we launched many years ago. And what we did, we offered up to 20 students from
Okay.
UB to participate in the boot camp free of charge. And 1 or 2 years they came, but then after a while, no one showed up. So it's a mindset. And so this goes back to having the right people to influence your thinking.
Right.
And so perhaps it's something, and maybe you could have Tanya McCartney come on one day, or
Okay.
maybe one of the ladies from the Association of International Bank, Nakia, and just talk about how we could, could get and get some of these young people involved. Maybe have space for 20 or 30 students or 30 persons to come into the boot camp that
Right.
the Nassau conference is going to be in September, and be able to sit in there and see exactly how the Nassau conference works, what it is. It's a boot camp, it's half day, but it introduced you to all the phases of the financial services. So the opportunities
Okay.
are there. It's just trying to get in touch with the right persons to make it happen. So I
Yeah.
could
And I
assist you with
guess,
that.
yeah. And I guess part of it is that also for the youth, if they don't see after they do something that there's a benefit or connection to continue advancing themselves, then they find something else to do,
Right.
and
But
so
we
forth.
did that for students who were in the business, who were studying business banking at UB.
UB, right.
And so, and perhaps maybe we can do it in a way. We could probably partner with you and say, listen, there's a conference coming up. We have 20 spots, and
Right.
maybe there's some way we could say, well, the first 20 spots, if you're interested in financial services, maybe you can participate, and
Right.
we can figure something out. But
Yeah.
but there are opportunities that are there.
Awesome. Awesome. So big one. What's next for Antoinette Russell and
And
your
Moran
team?
Global.
Yes.
Well, I'm hoping to be a key service provider. But like I said, I see where
That's
the
a service,
interest is so much in training and development and coaching and leadership. I don't know. I guess
That's
you
a
need to answer that
service.
question in about a year.
That's
But
a service.
yeah, that's a service.
Training
Yeah.
development is a service.
Yeah, yeah. But I would like to share as much of my knowledge with persons who would like to reach out. I know that everybody can't afford to pay, so it's not about the money, but I
Right.
would like to, if I could give some guidance or some support to help people navigate them, I'm happy to do that. But I'd like
And
to
I'm
give
sure.
back as much as I can because people gave to me and helped me to be who I am and where I am. But most importantly, keep reinforcing relationship building, networking. That's so important because
Right.
things come full circle.
Yeah.
The same person you networked with 5 years ago may be the same person you meet in a job 5 years down the road.
Right. But when you look at that too, to me, companies invest in what they want to invest in, right? And so to me, it makes sense for them to invest in people like yourselves to do the training and so forth, who knows the culture here, so that if they're working here, then it's best to work with people who know the culture and be able to develop the people here to do the job. So then their product and their company's product raises the lid to another level. For instance, to always bring in or send people places where they might be disconnected from our culture
Well,
and
a
don't
lot of
optimize the thing. I know
yeah,
there's good and bad and everything, but I'm just saying maybe more
yeah.
of the local training needs to happen. Go ahead.
Well, we know most companies have a training budget, and they do hire a lot of locals to do it. Because even like Patrice Taylor, and we have Kim
Right.
Welcome, and we have Simone Bo, with other people who are in that space. So you find that people are doing more of that these days. But it's the soft skills and the leadership, and it's okay if you're going abroad to go learn something about the business or a specialty area. But when you talk about coaching, executive development, we do have the capacity here.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So yeah, there's training, and then there's the elite training, what I'm talking about at the level. The higher up you go in an organization, the less hard skills you need, and the more softer skills and intangibles come into play, because you're leading people more so than doing the actual hard work.
That's true.
So what would you like to tell the people out there? I asked you 1,000,001 questions. So, yeah.
I would like to say, keep pushing, keep, training, keep networking, and make yourself marketable. Opportunities are there. Find yourself a mentor, find yourself your cheerleader, and keep pushing, keep pushing. The sky has no limit. And don't be stuck with just one mentor, like we said, Happy. Just do whatever suits your fancy. For whatever reason you need someone to assist you, find that person. For me, there are people who I've helped along the way. I don't even remember them until they say, well, you helped me do this, or you helped me do that. I could not even remember that. It's been so long. It's not about what you do, it's how you do it. So that's important. So just have to make sure that they be intentional, set their goals, follow through, and take one small step at a time. Don't run to the front, because you may have to come back.
That is true. That is true. People in Foxville just say don't live so high above the ground that when you fall, you can't get back up.
Right.
But talking about Foxville, before we go, I think it was 2 days ago or 3 days ago, we went to Knowles, and I was sitting in the car, and a young man came up to me and tapped on the window. He hadn't seen me from the time that he was in high school, and I was doing the youth director at St. Anne's Church, and he had to just come over and thank me for the time that I spent with them to help mentor them and bring them up and give them guidance and so forth. And so I think that is a story that speaks directly to what you were talking about now. When you just help people, it's gonna be beneficial. And he's a very successful businessman today. He didn't go to university, but he still is more successful than some people who've been to university. So
that's what I'm saying. It's not about the education; it's about your reputation. And you always find time for people. Never be too busy to find time to have a word with someone, because that word may make a big difference in their lives. So you have to always find time. And people know me. People who know me, that I'm always here. And I say that openly on this forum, that if someone needs advice or some career guidance, I'm here.
And folks, don't give up trying to get a hold of Antoinette, because she's on the move. So you just got to keep moving to catch up. That's all. But once you catch up, everything is straight, right? And Antonio and Delarice and everybody out there, thank you all kindly for listening in.
Thank you too.
And so forth. And Antoinette, you yourself for sparing this time between your meetings. Doing your meetings. But anyway, I hope you don't get in trouble for it. But
no, I have to support you. I appreciate you, and I thank you for having me on your show. I hope I was able to share some insight on who I am and where I came from, and who I would like to continue to be, and open and transparent, and helping as many people as I can in the financial world.
Awesome. That's what it's all about. That's what we try to do, and so forth. So
okay.
Folks out there, thank you kindly. Enjoy. And we'll see you next time. Watch more videos. Antoinette, have fun. Don't work too hard today. Okay?
No. Okay. Thank you. We'll speak again. Take care.
Yes. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Madam Producer.
Enjoyed the show? Then subscribe to us for more educational and inspirational content. Ring the bell so you never miss a show. Let's change the narrative 242.